to my YouTube channel. Today's video, we will be discussing my experience with business acquisition. So business acquisition is a pathway into entrepreneurship. It allows you to purchase an existing business and continue to build it up. If done correctly, this is a very useful way of getting into entrepreneurship, where you're not building something from the ground up, but you are taking someone else's structure and tailoring it to what you desire for it to be. So I am going to share with you my experience with business acquisition, what I've learned from business acquisition, and some tips that hopefully will help you navigate some of the challenges of business acquisition. So if you're interested in content like this, stay tuned. I purchased a medical spa in December of 2021. The medical spa had been in existence for 13 years. The owner was retiring and did not want to dissolve the entity, and so she decided to sell. And so I purchased the entity from her. I want to share with you 4 things I learned during my business acquisition that I want to give to you. So if you decide to do business acquisition, you have a little bit more experience or knowledge than I have. Tip number 1 is make sure that you hire a team. So I recommend that you hire an attorney. This is non-negotiable. You have to have an attorney on your team. This is one thing that I wish I would have done that I didn't do. I consulted with an attorney, but I never hired an attorney. So the purpose of an attorney in business acquisition is several things. The first thing, they will help you to negotiate the terms of your contract, which is very important. There are different clauses that you want to make sure that's in your contract that protects you throughout the business acquisition, and that provides some type of security for you if the business doesn't do what the owner projects for it to do in the next 6 months to 12 months. An attorney has the knowledge and the language to put into the contract to make sure that you're protected. The second thing that the attorney will help you do is to negotiate the terms of the contract. If you're anything like me, I am a clinical person, I'm a nurse practitioner. That's all out of my element. So I needed an attorney to help me to navigate and negotiate the terms of the contract, what would and would not be in the contract. And then the third and most important thing that an attorney will help you do is if there anything that comes up that will be a burden to you or that will prohibit you from purchasing the business, the attorney is there to kind of help with the legalities of things too. So I highly recommend that you hire an attorney. Second person I recommend that you make a part of your team is an accountant or a CPA. In my case, I hired a forensic accountant, and what the purpose of this individual was to go through the business finances, and they went through the business finances, I think, over the last 4 years, and they looked at everything from retail sales, they looked at the tax returns, daily sales, how much the owner was pulling out of the business. They made sure that once the owner left the business was going to be still sustainable because she was actually providing a service in the business. And so they made sure that the business was sound for me to purchase the business. The other thing they done was they projected what my expenses would be and how much capital I needed, how much working capital I needed for the next 6 months to a year. And I actually still use their formulas and worksheets to continue my business and how I plan and project what we will need moving forward. So an accountant or a CPA is another person that you need to have on your team. I know that when you're doing business acquisition, it's such a daunting task to have to spend additional money on things. I get it, I was there, but take it from me, these two people are very important, and it's very important that you are always able to call them or to communicate with them if you need any advice. So please, if you hire a team, an accountant, and an attorney. Please, it will save you in the long run. Tip number 2, I recommend if there is any level of inventory in the business that you're trying to purchase, make sure that you go through all of the inventory. And the inventory is things that they're selling for retail, things that's used to produce the products you're trying to produce, or in my case, things that we use in our services. Please make sure that you go through your inventory. This is a mistake that I made. I purchased retail inventory that was going out of date, that wasn't any good anymore, and that was not selling. And again, when you're going through business acquisition, it's such a long process that you can't think of everything, and this is one of the things that I just didn't think about. I actually felt like, hey, they're throwing in this inventory, it'll be okay. But the inventory really was no use for me because the inventory was going out and the inventory wasn't selling. So I had a lot of inventory that I had to get rid of very early on in the business because it wasn't good. So I recommend that if you have inventory, you go back at least 6 months to see what has been selling, what do they use the most of, and move forward or govern yourselves accordingly based off of that. So make sure that you go and look at your inventory. Make sure that the inventory is still good, that's not expired or about to expire, and make sure that if you're selling anything in retail, that the inventory that you have customers want and it hasn't been sitting on the shelf. One thing that I learned, that if it sits for more than 6 months, then that product usually isn't going to sell. So I would go back 6 months and look at your inventory. Tip number 3. This tip is huge. I feel like it should have been tip number 1, but so it's tip 3. So tip number 3 is make sure you meet the staff. This was a huge mistake for me. Do not buy a business where the seller does not tell the team, their employees, that they are selling the business. It puts you as the new owner in a very awkward and peculiar situation because the old owner is leaving, and so now you have to deal with the employees feeling like that they have been blindsided by this huge change that's happening with the business. So please make sure that you meet your team. The other reason why it's very important that you meet your team is because you want to gauge the morale in the business. You want to know if these individuals will be around for the transition, or if you need to hire more quickly or frequently based on your interactions with the team. When you meet the team, I would ask them, what do you like about the company? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years within the company? What the company can improve on? This will also give you a lot of insight on how the team feels about the client and what direction they feel like the company needs to go, and their suggestions. And they're just suggestions, but I think it opens a door for open dialogue for you as the new owner and the existing team. Again, never purchase the business if the owner has not disclosed that the business is for sale. You always want to meet your team before you purchase a business. Tip number 4. Now, prior to you meeting your team, you want to go to the business as a customer. You want to see how the employees treat the customers. You want to see the business from a customer's perspective. You want to kind of get that first feel on the opposite side of the spectrum. So this is one thing that I did do, and I really appreciated that I was able to go and get a service, see how the customer service was when I was being checked in, to see how the services were when they thought I was a customer. I recommend that you go. This also allows you to see their systems and see where you can insert your business ideas or where you want to take the business in the future. So I recommend that you go and to the business prior to them knowing that you're the potential owner, and just see how the business feels on the opposite side of the spectrum as you being the customer. So that concludes this video. Business acquisition, again, is one way to entrepreneurship, and if done properly, then it really could be a way to build on what someone else has already established, which is a good thing. You're not building it from the ground up, but it's a way for you to kind of leverage what someone else's vision was for the business, and to kind of put your spin on it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you were able to take some little nuggets from it. If you like this video, comment, like, and subscribe, and leave me a comment below. Bye.